the music. Oh, that's gonna be so loud to put on my head. We'll change it. We'll change it. We'll fix it. We'll fix it. Don't worry, we're fixing it. I can't hear you, Ursula, anymore. Thank God. Hi. Hello, all of the chat that's totally here because Ursula set up the stream this morning when she woke up before me. We love Ursula in this house. No, we don't. Face cam. Oh my God. Now I have to show my face to people. Ugh, I hate my face. I'm gonna move the camera and annoy her. Move. Oh my God, why is the camera so janky? Fix my hair before you guys have to see me. What?
You're so professional.
Yeah, I am professional. What are you going on about? Why is she just popping off in the corner? What if I just moved my... Wait, go back? Oh, there we go. Let's move it. Like, I'm back. Hello. Hello, nobody. It is the critique stream where we critique patrons individually. They pay, oh, like a dog. They pay for judgment and we put judgment upon them. I got Yop. Oh, have you told everyone that it started yet? Ursula's gonna go tell everyone that it started. And we'll see what happens from there. Because they probably don't even know that a stream exists. Because someone was... I don't even know what she was doing. Probably playing some sort of farm game or something. She was! Oh my God, I guessed it right. She made a little cheeky smile at me. So instead of helping you guys out, like you pay for, she was farming. What a lady. She's Wow. Well. I wanna put chat on stream. Oh, hi hearts. Hello. Blah 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 blah. What am I doing? What's it called? Facecam. We have so many useless goddamn inputs. We have so many of them that just do nothing. I'm just waiting for people. Do you want to see my dinosaurs? Who moved all my dinosaurs? Which cat moved my goddamn dinosaurs? Chat, this is a travesty. It was definitely a cat that did it. I have so many dinosaurs, guys. So we got this one. What a cool little guy. And this one. And they got a stand because you're supposed to balance the dinosaurs. I don't know if anyone's showing up to this. I'm dropping dinos. What? Okay. But you told everyone?
Yep.
Okay. I don't even know if anyone...
Maybe if I speak in this mic?
No.
Oh.
I don't know. So, like, it stopped working recently. I had to change mics. Because it's on, but no sound's going through. I don't know if it's the cable or if it's the mic. I don't know specifically what is wrong with it. Oh my god, it's so hot in here. Can you turn the AC back on? Thank you. I don't know what we're doing. Oh, I can already feel it. I can already feel the AC, guys. I just woke up. I read all the critique thingies, and now I don't know what I'm doing. I got little dinosaurs. I like these two little guys. There's a dog wiggling her butt in the background. That's cool. Serena, hi. Hi. You gonna drink that drink? Oh, wait. Oh wait. Oh, she's looking at you guys. Wee wah, wee wah, wee wah, wee wah. Chat. Wee wah. The glance. Oh, we could get Fado for a second. Oh, family. He needs eye drops.
Yeah.
He's got his eyes healed after his fight. No! You have to set it to fan mode for a bit.
No.
RIP. It's so hot in here. I guess I'll start. I guess I'll start all in the void. I'll start with not AZ, because AZ might show up. God willing. I guess I'll start with what's the one person? They're like N or something. I'm gonna start with Squadron 5. Because I don't think they usually show up. So okay, Patricia, I'm gonna change songs so you're not saying words at me. I do like that song, but whoa, how did I do that? What happened? Christ. Scaring myself. So I read I read what did I read? I read Squadron 5, Chapter 2, because I read the first chapter 1 month, right? And then I read like a revised version of the first chapter the next month. So now I'm on Chapter 2. Oh, hello. Okay, we're alive. Okay, people exist. That's good to know. That's good to know. Oh, make sure to like the stream. That might help people find it. But yeah, I was reading Chapter 2. And so, like, the first chapter was a introduction to the characters and them heading out kind of on their first mission thing or whatever, right? And then this chapter, they are all chilling together. I think you're doing a good job when it came to hi Ursula. I think you're doing a good job when it came to showing like character. I think that's kind of a lot of the purpose of like the different things they were up to. You were showing like the different characters and how they interact with each other, which is good because they are a team, and it's good to see that kind of interaction, and I'm fine with downtime. Like, downtime is fine. And I would tell you all of their personalities, but it's just difficult with all the names. I do recognize them. There was bickering that was occurring over tomatoes. I knew that. And then there's the one who cooks, and there's the ones playing the card game. So it's all good with that. And then we move into like the second scene. The second, not scene. There was several scenes, but the second portion, that would be the word. The second portion, with the hawk, and I think that's cool. It's cool to see like some plot arrive and have people reacting to that. I'm dropping dinosaurs everywhere. And obviously, because it's a magical world, your hawks can do whatever they want. So I won't critique the falconry involved. I was happy that when the hawk landed on their bare arm, they got injured from that. That's good. Because I immediately had that thought of like, you can't just have a hawk land on your arm. They're really pointy. And obviously hawks can't do like messaging, but like it's a fantasy world, so it's fine. And then yeah, but just don't listen to me on any of these opinions right here. I'm just okay, this is a meaningless opinion. It's just on the hawk. I just don't know how hawks like would fly around at night, but it's a magical hawk that can, well, not magical, it's a fantasy hawk. It can do whatever it wants, but like never put the little hood on it. Then if it can fly around at night, it can't wear the little falcon hood, you know, because hawks just don't fly around in the dark. It's just something that they don't do. And that's why they put the little hoods on them, because it makes them not fly, because they're like, oh, it's dark, I'm not going to fly. But this is useless advice, so I'm going to move on to the writing stuff that actually matters, and not my quibbles about falconry. So, oh, hi AZ, hi. So, what I would say is that, I like the character interaction. I like them. I like what they're doing. I like having time. You do yours first. I'll do yours next. I'm just finishing the one I started. So I think it would be because they had yeah, so they're doing all like they're interacting. They're becoming a team. I think that's good. I think you need to add a second layer to things, where some plot, not even plot necessarily, but world building is coming in. I think you need another layer to things. Okay, I'll try my best. I don't think I'll go 30-40 minutes on this. But yeah, I think you need to add like another layer on top of this where we get into some world building. There's lots of opportunities when they're doing their little adventures. They're frolicking about, they're having fun. A lot of what you introduced is very typical our world, which, you know, maybe it is a little more like that. Maybe it's not, I don't know. But when you're frolicking about, I think that's the time where you can add a little world building spice in there. And I think another layer to it is you need some plot momentum happening even in the downtime. Not necessarily the major plot, but like character plot. You need to introduce some stuff while you're doing your frolicking. You need to do like either like some reflection on what's occurring. Like they're off in the market. You can be having a good real conversation while in the background some tomato bickering is occurring. I think you need like just the multiple layers. Otherwise, it's a lot of just chilling, having a time, which is fine. Um, but like super. Oh no, the stream's really backed up. I didn't know that. Um. But yeah, you need to like layer things a little more. You need to add a little more depth to the scenes that you have, because otherwise you have to draw all of these scenes and all the plot scenes when you need to kind of like integrate them together, and do your best to do that. Yeah, I think that's just like the major critique I have is like there needs to be some more layers to the scenes. Um, and yeah, just keep up, keep at it. And yeah, I want to see more forward. I don't want to see chapter 2 again. Just kind of like try and do that going forward, and we'll see what is good. All right. I think that's fine. I'm gonna move to AZ. AZ chomping at the bit here, 10 minutes behind. So I don't know what to say other than I liked it and it's good. Um, like obviously, like there was these scenes and you were where Gil and Des are talking, and you mentioned that you would have it earlier, and yeah, I would agree because you want to move all that stuff earlier. So far from my piece, the scenes I think are gonna come way earlier in the next draft. Yeah, I liked them at the barn together. At the farmhouse, I think that was good. I like how their relationship is going. It keeps building in like a goodly way. But I can sense that there will be tension caused by nonsense shenanigans, as it were. That will make sense. Yeah, I like the continuation of Dez's redemption what is it list that he's doing. I liked going to the lady and the talk about the Lord and stuff. That was fun. And that's where we left off, wasn't it? That was the last one. Yeah, I don't know. It's all moving good. I don't know. Cause yeah, other than like reorganizing it, I think it's all really good. That was a lot of fun to write. Yeah, it was a good time. It was a lot of fun going on. I like them making the fence. I don't know. I think it's all good. And like depending on how it goes, like I think it's all just like a good build of stuff. Like there's always something being discussed on top of like the general like character development. Yeah, it's fun to read, and that's most important. That's true. That is true. But yeah, if you have any questions, like I can answer, because otherwise I don't really have much to say, honestly. Because yeah, it's hard to say like anything about the pace, because obviously they're going to be reorganized. I always try to have stuff going on in the background that leads towards the next. Yeah, it's a good job. You do a good job of like I was saying in the last one is like layering the different aspects of story. I feel like I'm missing a dinosaur. This is like not completely compact. I feel like one of the cats stole one of my dinosaurs. They freaking ran off with one of these guys, and now I'm one dinosaur. I don't know which one, but it doesn't feel right. I am. No, I'm not. Sorry. I thought I knew one. Okay. It's fine. To be honest, these two keep... Yeah, I know you said that before, so... Yeah, I guess I will move on then. I'm speeding through these. I'm moving on to Cypress, who is able to be here. Possibly. They're at a convention instead of at work today, so they said something. Okay, right. Alright, so we read the continuation, which I'm happy to do. I like moving forward. I like zooming. And seeing where the plot's going. So it was mostly a scene about Aurelia, right? There was some like they headed back and they saw the state of things. I like all of the... I like getting into the backstory stuff. I love me a good backstory. I think it's really cool. The stream paused suddenly, and then we were suddenly talking about dinosaurs. I don't know what's been happening with my streams the past 2 streams. Hopefully things work out. Okay, well, I'll start again just in case, because I know that AZ at least got theirs. So, and I was talking about dinosaurs. You know, my little dino. Look at these little guys. Look at him. He's just a great little guy. We got so many dinos here. Okay, so I was reading, and so Cypress, we were reading about Aurelia and Felicite. It was mostly Aurelia based and getting into her backstory. I don't know what that was, which was good to hear. It was pausing because I left the Wi-Fi zone, so it was on my end. Oh, okay. That makes sense. I just know AZ was also behind, so like I'm just dealing here. And Ursula can provide a better timestamp. Okay, I'm gonna start for real from the top about this. Okay. I'm gonna hold up a little pink dino. So Ursula knows. So it's the pink dino. See? Holding it up. I'm looking at you. There. This is me starting fresh, okay? When you have to do the timestamps. Okay, so we read chapter 2, which is exciting because I like moving forward. I don't like to get stuck on the same chapter over and over because I don't know what goes on forward. So I want to know what's on forward so I can tell you better things. It was a scene about kind of like the aftermath of what happened with Aurelia during the whole... Is it a festivity thing? I don't remember entirely. And so it was the initial returning to that, and then there was like the side scene, or the follow-up scene, where the two of them talked. I forget who the person is. I forget their name, but it was the other character in the room that is not the princess. So yeah. I like learning more about kind of the world through kind of what happens with the different characters, learning about the backstory. I think it's very interesting. I liked how you were able to talk about some of the magic system with the lichen stuff in a more natural way. Oh, hi Cypress, I'm talking about your thing. Yeah, I like that there was a natural way to deliver that, because it was kind of plot related, and because it was like a thing that necessarily needed to be brought up at that moment, and I think that was good. Yeah, and I can kind of see some of the dynamics we're going for here. I think what I noticed out the gate was a lot of telling. Like that was very much the start of things. And I think that's fine in a first draft. It does help me in some ways to know kind of what you're going for, but probably not what you want in your final draft, right? Because there was the part where it just brings up that she felt envious because was it Aurelia got a gift or something, or was preferred? Yeah, I think that was definitely the main thing, because I don't know if I'd really gathered a lot about that from Felicité's character up until that point. I think that first scene, you really could expand it a lot more, because there is a lot of tension, and I think there's a lot of there's an easy opportunity to get this across because you have the dialogue ready. You have some space to do that. And I think part of the issue with telling was, I think I'd have to comb through it specifically, but in that first scene there was head hopping that was occurring where it was either head hopping or it wasn't clearly distinct about like whose POV we were in. I didn't feel like nestled in either of them. And I think another aspect that kind of caused that is in the telling. You were telling stuff, and like a lot of the stuff isn't necessarily like the jealousy thing. Like, I don't think that people typically are so aware of their own jealousy, right? I think envy and jealousy you kind of mask that from yourself, especially if you're like a princess jealous of like a servant. Like, I don't think that's something that you would put in the forefront of your mind. Like, you would find other reasons why you're upset, because that's kind of like a point of pride sort of thing, right? So I think it was some stuff like that where it's like it's okay to like note the emotions for yourself and note like the root of things, but you're the therapist of your character who has all the notes, and they have to live them, like it emotions is hard, and it's hard to tell where it's coming from. But there's ways to get that across through things. Yeah. And I think your dialogue is very straightforward when there could be a lot more subtext that you can add. And yeah, just in general, I think you just need to slow down a bit more through your scenes. And is going to keep being this, but like you just need to slow down and put yourself into your character's shoes, and don't worry about don't worry about rushing to the next thing. I think in general you just need to slow down a lot more and really sit with your characters and find the find the thingy, and maybe do some like practice exercises like that from like, because I don't know if I've I think I have done the recommendation where you describe something from the POV of various that's one thing I noticed in the scene is doing scene I wrote recently too. Yeah, like when I was doing like different writing classes, there is the classic one where like look at something like in your room, find like just a corner of your room and try and describe it through the POVs of different characters. Yeah. Do it from different character POVs, and then try to get their character across without saying anything directly. And if you have people who, you know your characters or can otherwise read it, like I would have them look over it and guess it and tell you like what they think of the character based on the different like paragraphs about the same thing. The first one I did was like the very classic, like it took it very literally, glass half full, half empty. It's like when your character sees a glass half full, like how do they perceive it? Like what is their opinion on the glass? That is like the distillation of POV. Mandy, glass half empty. Trixie, glass half full. Glass half full, there's a fridge. There's so much ice around. We just melt some ice. We got all the glasses for days. Yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah, and in general, like, I think I will be pointing out this a lot, especially early on, but if I get more of the story, I will be able to give you, like, bigger critique on the general plot, but, yeah. Yeah. Do you have any questions? If not, I get to leave, so... Hee. Yeah. That's fair. Yeah, it's the basic tips, and they're very foundational, it's... Don't have any questions? Thank you for the help. No problem. Thank you for your money. Alright, I get to leave. What is she doing? It's like... critique. Whoa!
Hello? Hello? Hey, hello? How are you? Oh my gosh, it's always so low down. My short king. Okay. Here, I need a moment. Hold on. Hold your horses, please. Okay, so yeah, I'm going over some art. We have BattleBox, we have Kuroe, and we have BlanketGremlin. I know, Serena has her whole couch to herself, and she's just living her best life. But yeah, we have BattleBox, Kuroe, and BlanketGremlin. Fight amongst yourselves if you'd like to go first. And I will critique the work you submitted. Okay. Hum 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 hum. Ba, 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 ba. All right. Last night was crazy? Oh yeah. Oh, okay. So while our friends are getting organized, last night, so Bones and I, we've been playing Plate Up, which is like, I'm sure everyone's heard of it, but it's like a co-op restaurant game. And a thunderstorm started outside, and so our one dog, Matica, she's always scared of thunder, so she was doing a little snuggle with us while we played, and everything was great. And then there was a huge boom outside, and all the power went out. So we couldn't play Plate Up anymore. We had to go to bed. Well, I did. Bones stayed up. But the power was only out for a little bit, but like, oh my god, the boom was so loud. It scared Bones and I. And Matica was like, nope, we're dead. We're gonna die. So I had to go snuggle her in bed. Yeah. That's some pretty art. It is pretty art. Alright, I see no one is here. No one is taking the first spot. So I guess I'll just jump into this one and go down the line. The storm decided your curfew. Exactly. The storm was like, Ursula, go to bed. It's past 11. Because I'm a 10 o'clock bedtime girl. So it's like, okay, Grandma, go to bed. Okay, so we'll start with this one. Let me grab my notes. So this is BattleBox. So they said, looking for a general critique on this piece. I personally think the blonde lady's face looks weird, but I'm also a perfectionist. I tried to choose colors that represent my friend's D&D characters since this is celebration art. Since we beat the big bad guy. Congrats, that's fun. And I'm looking forward to the critique. Okay, so I would say the colors are great. I do enjoy that there's, you know, each quadrant has its own color scheme to represent the character. We got blue, green, red, and yellow/gold. And all the colors still work really well together. They're very, they mesh well. There's a lot of overlap between the colors. We kind of have like the gold going through the top three, even if like the one on the left has like the main gold color. The blue and the green are very close together. They're both like very cool colors. Very vibrant. They mesh well together. We've got like the red kind of going through everything, as well as use of like grays and blacks that bring in a little bit of that cool blue into them. So yeah, so I find the colors are very balanced. There's lots of good contrast going on within each of the illustrations, and like I guess between the different quadrants too, where it's pretty easy to see, you know, the distinct characters, the distinct little scenes going on. There's no point where I'm like, oh, this is too mid-tone, it's hard to tell things apart. Like, no, the contrast is there. The contrast is good. I have some little nitpicks. So the first one you mentioned is the blonde lady at the top. I think... Sorry, you guys can't see my cursor. I've been pointing at things. Right? Yeah. Okay, so there you go. So the blonde lady at the top here. So you said you think there's something wrong with her face. I don't think so. I think it's pretty well balanced. I think you did a very good job with the lighting. You've got some like below lighting where you've defined like the lower face so that there's some shadow across like her cheek and nose area, as well as like shading around her eyes and forehead and stuff. Like, I think that all works really well. It's well detailed. It looks great. It's pretty well structured. There might be some things where like the eye line might be like a little off kilter, but you know, that happens with all illustrations, unless you're like a master, which could never be me. I think what might feel weird is the proportion of her body, specifically her arms and shoulders, feels a little bit off to the face. So the face is very well rendered, but the arm, her arm is going back. And you know, it's going to be more dynamic than just me posing. But I find her upper arm here is really short. Like, if you actually put your upper arm up like this, the top of your elbow should touch like the top of the character's head. So her elbow is like, either it's in perspective that it's like way back, which would break your shoulder, or it's like not tall enough. So I think the arm is a little bit stunted. And her shoulders might be like a little bit thin. It's stylized, so, you know, shoulders can be more narrow and stuff, but I think the proportion of the arm is really throwing things off and maybe makes like the proportion of her face and torso feel weird. So that's what I will say for that. I love the skeleton fella here. Or lady, I don't know. Or non-binary, I don't know. Yeah, again, there's good kind of shading and shadows. I like the glow of the eye effect. The jaw opening looks good. All that stuff. I really enjoyed the shading on the robe here, where you've got some more kind of defined folds, and then yeah, just the shading looks nice. And same with like the gold trim. It feels shiny. It's good. Again, good contrast in here. I like the moving brow bone. I think that's fun. But yeah, that looks great. And I think there's good contrast in there. Do I have any nitpicks? I don't think so. I think the skeleton stuff looks good. I have a bit of a nitpick with the fella at the bottom. So for one, I love the magic effect. The hand looks great. There's also some great shading and lighting going on, where I really like the cast of like the red glow on his face. I think the glow would expand out a little bit more. I see what you're trying to do, where it's like it's focused, it's on this side, so it's like focused on this side of the body kind of thing. But I think there'd be a little bit, say, like cast on this other eye or up on his brow a little bit more. And I think because this lighting is very focused on the one side of his face, it's giving a weird effect where it feels like it's changing the shape of his face, if that makes sense, because it's not casting the way you'd expect it to. And I think the issue too is that his forehead feels very squat. And it's not that he needs to have like a high forehead, it just feels very short in comparison to like how big his like eyes and eyebrows and stuff are. Or I think it's just perspective wise, it's throwing things off a little bit. So I'd recommend maybe like bringing his forehead up a little bit more, and I think decreasing some of the wrinkles going on with like his furrowed brow. Cause like when you furrow your brow, if you can look at mine especially, like I've got some like wrinkly lines, right? But his feel like really deep. Where I think if the forehead was brought up a bit more and those folds, the wrinkles were like smoothed out a smidge, like you still want to keep them to give that like intense expression, but they feel just like a little too deep, where it makes his forehead feel kind of like concave or weird. I don't know. There's something about it. But yeah, but there's great details in it. I love like the shading on his hair. I love the shadow work on the face. Yeah, just lots of little details here. It looks really cool. It's very intense. And then for this character, so it looks like a non-human character, but I don't know D&D. I don't know this character, so I can't say what it is exactly. But I love the eye. That is awesome. It stands out really starkly against the rest of the character's design. I love the movement of the hair. It really fits with this like electric lightning magic effect that's going on. The colors are great. There's really great contrast between like the blacks and the golds and oranges and the white. Yeah, it's just great. The only issue I have is this lightning effect. I'm not sure if it's a sword or if it's like a beam of magic. I think it's a sword that they're holding or a knife. But it's so bright, it kind of obscures your character here. Where I think it's like we're missing a lot of detail kind of right in the middle here. It made it a little hard to parse, where when I was first looking at it, I was like, is this a mask? Is this the character's jaw? Like, what's going on here? So I think it needs to be toned down a bit or maybe moved a bit so that it makes the illustration of the character a bit easier to understand, if that makes sense. But yeah, otherwise this is great. There's lots of really great rendered pieces within it. It's got so much movement. It's really interesting to look at. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, there's so much cool like effect going on, like with the lightning in the gold character. We've got the blood splatter on the red character. We've got these like, I'm not sure if it's like shadows or vines or some kind of dark magic effect rippling around the skeleton character. I wish there was a bit more around this this blue fella at the bottom, because we have like the magic around the hand. I wish it kind of like cast more around him. In the same way that like the lightning and blood and dark magic and stuff is like cascading around. I think it would bring it through a bit more. But yeah, but otherwise this looks fantastic. Really great color work, really great shading, really cool movement. Yeah, it's a really fun piece. BattleBox, if you're watching this, please let me know if you have any questions. I can answer them on Discord. But otherwise, I'm gonna move on to the next one. So next we have Kuroe. I don't know if you're here. Where the heck? There it is. There's the first one. So there's some character designs from Kuroe. Now, what did they say? What did our friends say? Okay, so you said you had 3 characters. I'm gonna assume... Okay, I'll just start with the first one. You said 3, but you only mentioned the names of 2 of them. So, I can look at the blue character, but anyways, I'll start with Devin. Okay, so this first one is a BNHA OC. So that's My Hero Academia, I think. Which I know just a little bit about. I've read through some of it, but I haven't gone in depth into it. Okay. But I know there's superheroes and they have quirks, and there's like a hero economy kind of thing. Okay. Okay, for Devin, I want a general critique. He's 16. Okay. Okay, so this is his hero costume. So when he's out being a hero, saving the world and stuff. Okay. Okay, I'll do a little vibe check before I read through the little character card. So he looks very flirty. Part of that is like the hearts going through the design, but also with like the pose, it's very like, you know, posing to look all cute and stuff. Yeah, so he looks very... Yeah, he looks flirty. He looks, trying to think of the right word, like the kind of character personality. I'm thinking like, I want to say like femme fatale, even though this is like a fella, but it's very like, that very like cool, kind of mysterious, but very like, I guess sensual kind of personality. Don't know if I love that with a 16-year-old character, but you know, if it's a teen series for teens, it's fine. Yeah, I get the sense that... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the character comes across as, like, more serious, because that femme fatale kind of character can be kind of serious, or if he's more kind of, like, playful and cheeky. I think it could go either way based on the character. But yeah, it's cool. It's very goth in the kind of gothy punky in the design of the costume and stuff. Like he looks tough, but also cute, you know? Yeah, and obviously there's some like devil references with like the horns and the little barbed tail. Yeah, I could easily see this as like a villain character. Possibly. It seems like he's a hero, but you know, we got the dark color palette and the devil imagery. They could be evil. I don't know. Okay, so Devin Blaine, the love hero, Incubus. okay, I get it with the devil stuff. Quirk Lovesick can look someone in the eyes and put them in a trance. Those in a trance will fall in love with him and do what he tells them to. Okay, so yeah, that makes sense with the more kind of like sensual, flirty kind of look. Interesting. So that's fun because it creates a character who can, I feel like you could play around with like the effects of having people fall in love with you and like looking for true love and stuff like that. That would be cute. But yeah, okay. So design wise, I love how everything is very, kind of dark colors throughout, and then there's the pops of the gold to really highlight the different pieces of the character. And I like that even the black and gray through the design pulls in the really warm tone of like the red/orange hair. And it feels very aligned to this kind of gold yellow look. Yeah, it works really well together. Yeah, and so the red of the hair plays well with the gold. They're very like harmonious together. Same with the skin tone, where it is very warm. It feels very close to the red color. And then it's also pulled into like the blacks and grays of the outfit. Yeah, so the colors work really well together. There's good contrast between like the mid-tones, the dark of like the more black aspects of the outfit. And then yeah, the pops of the yellow, the pops of the red from the hair. So I like how the red has been pulled into like the gray and black, but I'm wondering if there's a red element that could be brought into the character beyond just the hair. Because like the gold is worked in throughout really well, the black is worked in throughout really well. I just wish there was a little pop of red somewhere in like the body of the character. So whether that's like, I don't know, it could be like a gemstone or like a red heart kind of motif. Whether that's on like the coat or the pants, or even like worked into some of the gold jewelry stuff. Yeah, I think the red just needs to be felt elsewhere because it's subtly worked in, but I just want like a tertiary pop of red through the rest of the character. Shape-wise, I think it follows that kind of like squared off heart look really well, where like his hair is very squared off, his torso has this kind of like triangular look to fit that kind of like heart shape, and then same with like the silhouette of the, looks like feathers on the shoulder, same with the silhouette of like the skirt/cape coat thing going on in the bottom half. Yeah, shape-wise, I think, yeah, it just fits that heart shape really well. Cool. So Kuro, let me know if you have questions on that one. So I'll move on to the... So you said 3 characters, so I'm assuming one of them is the red-haired character. So you said it was the same character, but as a child and then grown up. And I'm assuming the other one is the blue-haired character, though you didn't mention them. So I don't know. At least I don't think you mentioned them in the comments. Okay, so Castor, the red character, he's meant to be set in England in 991 AD. His first design is when he's young and first appears. The second design is his main appearance. For Castor, I'm not sure if he looks like he's from the right time era. I think his colors could use some work. Yeah, so I think what is making you feel like he's not from the right time is probably the bright color, because it would have been difficult, I think, to get those really, really bright reds. The thing is, like, if it's a more fantasy kind of story, you can really get away with those, like, bright colors. I'd have to look specifically at 991 AD, because I'm not exactly sure what the look is then, because you'll look at, like, Dark Ages, Medieval Ages, whatever. I guess medieval's later, but you know, you'll look at that stuff, and it's a very large expanse of time, so it can be hard to pick costuming for it. I think you're on the right path though, costume wise, because yeah, it would have been a lot of layering up. You know, they would be wearing like long tunics. They'd probably be wearing like tights or tight-fitted pants. And they'd layer on, like, you'd have like your undershirt and then an overshirt and then your tunic and then, you know, your cloak or coat or whatever it would be. Yeah, and then pieces of armor would be layered on top of that, because there wasn't a lot of access to bathing, so you'd kind of layer up to hold in all the stinkies. Yeah, and a lot of things would be held with belts rather than like buttons or clasps. But again, it's like if it's a fantasy realm, you can kind of mess around with like the how the garments kind of work. Okay, anyways, I'll get into the characters. So Castor, so this is when he's 5, he's a little baby. Okay, right, so he's got the pants, the tunic, he's got like a little cowl kind of thing, and his little sword. So the colors for Castor are very... There's a big clash contrast thing going on, and it's like the right direction, but I think it's really bright. So what I'm talking about is the green and the red. So he's got this very bright red hair and then these very like bright green eyes. And that's good contrast because, you know, red and green are obviously like complete opposites. They do create great contrast. Red hair and green eyes is kind of iconic. Yeah, it just works really well. But I think what's happening, why it feels like it's clashing, is because they're both very vibrant. And they're both kind of dark. They're maybe not dark, but they're very close in like value range. So it's just very bright and your eyes are fighting on what to really focus on. It's just very overwhelming. So I would recommend, if red is his main color, you may want to play, because if I look at his like adult version, the green is more toned down. It fits well as a contrast, where like he's this very big field of red and the only green is like his eyes. Whereas when he's young, it's a lot of green and then just like the shock of red for the hair. And I think just part of it needs to be toned down, whether that's like his hair needs to be toned down, or the green maybe needs to be a bit paler or a bit desaturated. I think that would help quite a bit. I'd honestly, it's hard because it looks like for this project in particular, there is a focus on these like bright colors to really differentiate the characters, and I wouldn't want to take that away if they're supposed to have these like really bright hair colors to differentiate them, and there's nothing wrong with using a saturated palette. I think the colors just need to be balanced a bit more. So yeah, I would tone down the green a little bit if you want to keep this bright red hair. Yeah, and in the case of his child design, it just feels very unbalanced. He's all browns and grays on the bottom of the character, and then we've got this bright red and this bright green at the top. And it just feels really off balance. You know, if I was looking at just the top of this character, sorry, I'm blocking it for myself. But yeah, if I cut the character design in two, the top of him looks very different than the bottom of him. Now it is hard because he's supposed to be, it looks like a poor character who doesn't have access to nice fancy clothes and stuff. But I think there's ways you can still pull the color in without making his clothes look fancy, because you know they look very worn, they look very mended. But yeah, I feel like the red and the green just need to be pulled through, and then we need to balance the contrast between that red and green. Because the brown works really well because it is color matched to the red, but like toned down quite a bit, so it's perceived as brown. And I do like how you brought some green into the metal of the sword here. So that it's a gray, but it has a bit of that green tone to it, so that works really well. I just think that... Sorry, what I was saying is you can keep the brown, because it does work as a nice neutral against these really eye-catching colors, but they need to be kind of pulled together through the whole design a bit more. And there's lots of ways to do that, because a lot of the clothing would be held on with, say, like belts or ties. So, for example, you could put, like, you know, the green belt around the waist. You could tie it around the ankles to kind of hold the pants there. That kind of thing. Hello, Manufactured Rainbows. Welcome. But yeah, there's lots of little things I think you could bring through the design, because they use a lot of ties and belts to kind of hold pieces in place, and they layered clothing a lot, so there's a lot of layering you could bring in. Yeah, shape-wise, I think things look good. I think it's the color that is really throwing his design off for his child design. And then as for his adult self, it's a lot of red. So I think it works well in the body, where we've got some grays, we've got some black, and a little bit of gold, and then the green eyes. Where I think the body works, because you've got this very dark neutral color of the of the black and gray, and then you can surround it by the red, because the black will really contrast well and stand out against the red without being too overwhelming, like and clashing like the green would. I find having this cloak that really covers up like the top half of him, and then the red hair, it's just a lot of red, and it's not really broken up much. There is like the more kind of desaturated neutral color of the skin, but it's so much red just surrounded by it. I would say you need to bring in maybe some more neutral colors into this cowl piece. Maybe it needs to be like held open so that you can see like the gray and black underneath. Or the red of his cloak needs to be turned down a little bit. And then you could bring in the red, the bright red from the hair as like a tertiary color, because it's you can make it pop more that way, because if he has like the grip on his sword is red, he's got like a little red tip at the end. I think if you took this red, instead of making it this big secondary color, it's almost like the primary color in his design. I think if you pulled back, made the cloak maybe like more of a maroon, more desaturated, possibly. There's other colors you could work with. And then use the red of his hair and his sword as like a tertiary, really popping color and brought it into like, I don't know, little smaller pieces on his design. I think that would help a lot. It's hard though, because you can have a character where they're like, their main color is red and there's a lot of it, because you clearly have this, like, there's the blue character, there's the red character, looks like there's a green character as well. Yeah, it's a hard balance. But his outfit for the adult version I think works really well. You've got like the cloth shoes, you've got the tunic being held with belts, there's layering going on. I think it works really well. Yeah, and you'd have this cloak that would be fastened with like a pin, probably. So I think, yeah, his adult version works really well. I think there's just a lot of red that needs to be broken up a little bit. But yeah, there's lots of places you could take it. Okay. I would also say personality-wise, he, as a kid, he seems like very... He's like... You know, he wants to be a hero, he's training to be a hero, kind of thing. Maybe looks up to someone who's like a fighter. And then it looks like as his older self, he's a bit more serious. He's clearly had an injury on his face. It feels like he's more worldly. And it feels like he's become that warrior as a 16-year-old. And he gives me the vibe of like a more kind of he was like really bright and hopeful as a kid, and then he became kind of more, something bad happened and he became more like subdued and reserved. He became like more of a quiet swordsman type. Okay, and then we have Ivan, the blue character, because you said you had 3 designs, but you talked about 2, so I'll go over Ivan in case, you know. So I find Ivan's child design works a bit better, and I think it's because there's no big clash in colors. We have the blue of the hair. He's got red eyes. That is very subtle. Red and blue can work well together. Orange is more the contrast to blue, but obviously red is pretty close. And I think giving him the red eyes, if he's a companion kind of character to Castor, I think the red ties in well to his character kind of thing, making them feel kind of more aligned. And yeah, and it's a good kind of warm color contrast against the blue. But I find with his design, you've got the blue of the hair, you've got the red eyes, the neutral kind of beige skin tone, and then you've got gray, almost black shirt, but it's clearly has like the blue pulled into it. So I would say, I wish there was more. It's a little simple. I think there's lots of good visual interest with like the rips and tears. Again, he has like the very worn clothing. Makes him look like a poor child. In the middle, in the Dark Ages. But I just wish there was like a little bit more. Like it feels like a good base to the character, but again, like I want the blue to come through more in the rest of the design, the same way like if I looked at the body of this character and the head of this character, like they just feel different. I want to see the blue or the red pulled through a little bit more through the design. And again, whether that's like maybe some cloth tied around his feet, you could bring it in with like maybe some embroidery or stitching, little details, just to pull the colors through to the rest of the character. But yeah, but I do like how the kind of curls to his hair, they do really fit with like the tears in the shirt and stuff. It feels very like raggedy. It works really well for his design here. And vibe-wise, he looks like a very kind of quiet, shy character. Maybe pushed around a little bit. A gentle soul. And then as an adult, So he's 20. He got big. He's a big tough boy now. I still get a gentle vibe from him. I feel like he looks really tough and he maybe is like tough and hard to fight. But I feel like he has a gentle soul within. There's just something very sweet about his face. I don't know. He also looks like the bad guy, and I think it's because he's got this like monster skull as part of his armor. But yeah, clearly it looks like something happened. He went from being this like very gentle, downtrodden kid to becoming like a warrior that looks really tough. Yeah, so with his adult design, I think there's better balance between all the colors. So I think, like I was saying, the blue as his main color, it's there, but it's been broken up quite a bit. So like it's only covering part of his shoulder, and then we get the gray neutrals underneath. There's more of a visual break between the cloak and his hair because there's more space between it. The amount of hair is smaller, whereas like if you look at Castor, he's got this like big fluff of hair, and it comes so close to like the red cowl. Whereas like there's more space, there's less blue. It's not less blue, it's just like the shape is smaller for Ivan's hair versus his cloak. Yeah, and then we get the grays and blacks that are kind of pulled through with that blue. And yeah, and it's just broken up really nicely between the different sections. Where yeah, there's more visual distinction. Again, I'd like to see his red eyes really pop. I'd like to see it pulled through with some more little design pieces throughout. Again, even if it's just like maybe like a little red jewel or something on the clip holding his belt together or something like that. Just like there needs to be like a little more of that tertiary color through his design. But I think the color story of his design is stronger. And yeah, and again, I like the really... He's got a lot of kind of squareness to his design. Like, there's these very square shapes. And even his hair has been squared off a little bit. But I wish there was a bit more of that kind of, like... not rugged. What did I say? Like, raggedy kind of sense to him. Because, like, you have the scars on his arm. We've got this, like, spiky skull thing. Wish there was a little bit more of that through the rest of the design as well. Yeah. So that's all I got. Kuroe, if you have questions, please let me know. But otherwise, I'm going to be moving on to BlanketGremlin. / Bedswatter. If you are here, please let me know. So what did you say? What did you say for critique? Let me see. So... Okay, these are the submissions for this month's critique. A character lineup and an environment piece. The first is a lineup for the main cast of Attraction, wearing clothes they wore when they first appeared. Their names are listed with their original genre and character archetype. This is in reference to the last critique. Yeah, so I remember saying, like, I'd love to see them all. Oh, you're here! Okay, I thought you were here. I saw you talking earlier. Right, because I remember saying I'd love to see your characters all lined up together. So I'm glad you shared this. This is great. Right, because I wanted to see if their designs would clash with each other. Because, yeah, it is a hard balance when you have all these different genres coming in and making sure that they still feel like they're part of the same story. You have a very distinct style, which really helps kind of pull all the characters together. But yeah, this is a great start. Right, and the second is an environment piece. So I'll start with the lineup. So, like I said, your style is really distinct. And very consistent across your characters, so that is great. Again, they do look like they're all from the same story, with some little variations. I find the ones that stand out the most would be Taki, Henri, and Sumigi. Even, is it Evelyn? Evelyn? The buddy cop character. He stands out a little bit. Whereas I find with Walter, Kuroe, and Ginkgo, they're all a little bit... They blend together really well. And part of that could be like, you know, they're supposed to early on in the story. I can especially see it for Ginkgo, who's that kind of like slice of life support character where like they do kind of blend in. They're supposed to look very like homey and normal. But yeah. I'm sorry for Ilvin's name. Evelyn. I want to say Ilvin, but it's Evelyn. Evelyn. It's okay. I love a unique name. What was I saying? But yeah, so some of the characters stand out really well, which I think works for a story like this, where it is the different genres and archetypes. I think looking at them all lined up, the issue I'm seeing is that if you look at Ginkgo and Kuroe, they have like the exact same hairstyle. There's a slight difference, like Ginkgo parts it a little bit more, but it's the same color. It's about the same length. They both have the little tufts at the top. I can't remember if they're supposed to be, but they look like they're related. They look like they're family because of the coloring and stuff. But I don't think they're supposed to be, unless I'm misremembering. And then I think it's less of an issue with Evelyn and Walter, but the issue is that their hair again is very similar. They have very different coloring and different character vibes, which helps differentiate them a lot, because like Walter seems more like laid back, and then Evelyn is more uptight, which goes with his character. And if I'm remembering correctly, Ginkgo's more like a kind of gentle character, and then Kuroe is this very like scared kid kind of character. So they both look worried here, which does make them feel very similar in character. And they have very similar colors with this like very reddish kind of color that brings through. Ginkgo's hair is supposed to look like leaf sprouts, and Kuroe's look like animal ears. Oh, right. I wonder if there's like a way to differentiate it a little bit. Because I can see it for both. I can see it looking like leaves, and I can see it looking like animal ears for like the hair shapes. I think you're on the right track. It just needs like a little bit more differentiation. Because you could do that through color. You could change the coloring on either one of them. You could do that through like exaggerating the shapes more, like make it more look like leaves or more look like animal fur. Because I can see it. It is more shaggy on Kuroe and a bit more like sleek on Ginkgo. Because, like, Henri has a similar hair to them, but, like, it's broken up. One by the color. He has darker hair. He's got the bit that he, like, pulls back from his face. Toki's really stands out because her hair shape is so different. It's so, like, big and fluffy. She's got the bright orange. And then Sumigi has the very light hair, and it's very long. Which helps differentiate it quite a bit. Yeah, and like I said, with Evelyn and Walter, the color differentiation, character personality differentiation. I did want to hint at the character's relationship and color interactions. That is true. That is true. Because if you want to pair characters together, like in a team sense, like they're part of the same story, or they form some kind of like relationship, like mentor mentee, or like friendship, or even romantic relationships. Like, it is good to like pull your characters together with like a color through line, because it does like align them subconsciously in the reader's mind. But I think they still need that piece that like sets them apart from each other. Because I can definitely see like the different characters that get pulled together. And I do like that through all of them, there is this through line of like the kind of brown and reddish earthy tones. And like I can see, characters that have some more blue into them could probably interact more. Characters that have more of the red can interact more. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I think just some of the shapes and colors need to be differentiated a little bit more. Did you have any questions? Was there anything you were wondering about, or anything I didn't cover? I feel bad. I feel like I'm ragging on Ginkgo and Kuroe, but there are differences in their like shapes, because like Kuroe is obviously more kind of like jagged, less put together, where Ginkgo is a lot of like straight, smooth lines. Yeah, so there are differences. I just think the similarities need to be pushed farther apart. I think you do a really good job with the characters' postures to set them apart, because like Taki is very like open, a very big pose. I like Henri, who's just like all rod straight and serious, and Evelyn is even more kind of like at attention, and Sumigi feels very like poised, but more kind of like worn out, kind of sagging a little bit. Kuroe is very like tucked in and I want to say janky, but like, you know, disheveled. Ginkgo feels very open, because even though he's standing very similar to like Evelyn, he's more relaxed. It's not as like rod straight. And then Walter feels very like relaxed, but like he's not quite open. He's not open like Taki is, but yeah. He's a bit more relaxed, laid back. Yeah. So I can move on to the next one. And I can jump back if you have any questions about the character lineup. So this one was the environment one. Right, so drawing a character in an environment, I'm having trouble with perspective and object proportions, hoping a critique on the piece and tips for drawing environments. Okay, so yeah, that can be really difficult, getting the proportions and everything. Yeah, so first off, I think this is a really great piece. It's very moody, for one. I'm not sure if this is intentional. There's a very interesting kind of voyeuristic feel to it. Because of the way you've done this like kind of cutaway frame, this kind of jagged frame around the picture. Like, it just feels like a way to make it more dynamic, but it feels like we're looking at this character through like a hole in the wall, or like a crack in the door. And it's very like, I feel like I'm looking at them and I'm not supposed to. But yeah. It's cool framing. I like it. It's very moody. Right. But I think you've done a good job with the proportions. Stylistically, everything really fits well together. I think you've done a good job placing the character in the environment. He feels very enmeshed with everything. You know, it doesn't feel like a character's just been like pasted on top. And there's lots of nice little details going on that really make it feel lived in. I like the little post-it notes next to the headboard. We've got the poster, we've got the what's it called, a suitcase under the bed, and then we've got like some little cobwebs. It looks like there's like a little bug or some dust here on the windowsill. I did want to make it look like an outside force was looking into another world. Yeah, that's totally what it is. It feels like we're spying on him. It's so cool. Yeah. Okay, you did exactly what you set out to do. Oh yeah, and like the blanket hanging off the bed, I think that's a nice touch. So proportionally, it feels like a character sitting on like a twin size bed, like a single bed. And it reminds me of like a dorm or like a teenager's room kind of thing. It almost feels like a dorm or something more temporary because there is the suitcase under the bed. But it feels like they've been here a long time because they've got a poster put up, they've got their little notes put up. It feels lived in. It's collected some dust. It's not like pristine. So it's either like a dorm room or like a kid's room, but maybe like I think if it's like a room that a kid grew up in, you'd expect like more decoration just because like, you know, it gets kind of eclectic. It's like you keep things as you grow up that like from your childhood and you decorate because it's like your space within the home. But yeah, I do like, even with just some small details, it does feel very lived in and still tells like a environmental story. I think perspective wise everything is pretty there. I was hoping for the suitcase to look a bit bigger or the bed to be taller to show that. Oh, got you. That is hard. That's something I personally struggle with, is like figuring out how tall off the floor some things need to be. Because there are beds that are very tall. They like have a lot of storage space underneath them, so they're pretty high up off the ground. And there's some beds that are like, they graze the ground, basically. He's moving from place to place, and I did want to show the objects I bought. Totally, yeah, that's totally what it feels like. It feels like someone who, like, they're not there for very long. It feels very, it's lived in, but they could take it down easily kind of thing. That's why, yeah, it feels like a dorm room where, like, you're there for a term or a year, and then you leave kind of thing. As a way to make it easier. Also valid. Yeah, but I definitely struggle too with like how tall should things be? Where do you place them? Sometimes it's very helpful to get just references, like go through some photography or like a shop like IKEA. Maybe not IKEA, maybe something with more variety. But yeah, and just look through kind of what is available, and you don't have to copy it exactly, but it does kind of help kind of fill your visual library that you keep in your head of just a mattress on the ground was the most comfortable bed I ever had. I've been there. What was I saying? Oh yeah, but yeah, just kind of building your kind of visual library of like different things to use. Different objects you can kind of fill a room with. Yeah, I think it just takes a lot of like looking at visual references. Maybe not like having a reference photo exactly, but maybe like sitting down and kind of mapping out some images of like a person, like some photography of like a person sitting in a bedroom, and kind of really pay attention to like, okay, if this person is standing, how tall is the window compared to them? How tall is the bed compared to them? If this person's sitting in a chair, how big is the chair compared to them? Because I think it does take just some practice and some study to figure out kind of the proportions of everything. But I do find your perspective, like the objects that you've put in and putting them into perspective, like it works really well. It's a nice little 2-point perspective that's going on, and it's very consistent. Things feel very structured, and I think with the lighting that you've put into really helps a lot. It makes it feel very very real, if that makes sense. Yeah, because I think you've got a really good sense of perspective, filling things in, decoration, storytelling through your environment. I think it will just take like studying photography and real life reference in like how big the average person is in a room. Because I've had people on the critique stream in the past, and I've done this too, is like using The Sims as like a reference, just because it's, you know, everything is very consistently built, and it's like an environment you can build up yourself and use as reference. But there's lots of other like 3D tools you can use than just like The Sims, The Sims 4 or whatever. And the danger of using a video game like that is that some of the items are sized really weird. For example, I find chairs in The Sims 4 are really big compared to your characters. So I find photography is better just because you get some like actual sizing. And then you can kind of figure out how you want your own characters to sit in an environment. Because, you know, this character might be like an average sized person. You might have a character who's small, like the child character. You might have a character who's really tall or really big compared to most other people. And you can kind of play around with like how they fit into an environment. Height charts are really good for that. So I think you've got that down because you have your character lineup. And sometimes it's helpful to put like an object into your lineup, if that makes sense. Like, I've done it with doors. Like I'll have my character lineup, and I'm like, this is how tall the typical doorway is. Because I will constantly change the size of doorways, where they're really tall or really short, all over the place kind of thing. Yeah, so I think it just takes a lot of study and practice, which isn't always the most fun thing to hear. Did you have any other questions about this one? I love the atmosphere of it. It's so moody. It's just like, it's a vibe. I've felt this way, you know? I've been in a dim room just looking through my iPad, feeling kind of lonely, you know? It's got a lonely vibe. I will say, I'm wondering about how much to include, like within an environment. It is tough. I think it's a question of like character and utility. So like because with Bones, when he's writing, he'll do like a really quick description of like, you know, we're in Sir Feathercatcher's manor. You know, he's a knight, he's rich. There's some little details of like, there's lots of paintings up. This is obviously like a family home, not a family, but you know, like an inherited home kind of thing. So there's, I guess like a collection of heirlooms and shit, right? But he also mentioned like there's servants walking around. It's very well kept. It's very fancy and immaculate kind of stuff. So that does give me like a vibe of like, okay, it needs to be fancy, it needs to feel like ancestral, it needs to be really tidy, and I can kind of fill in details as I need them. And I don't need to use every detail in every panel of the comic, for example, or even like in every illustration, where sometimes I won't even include a background. It'll just be a close-up of a character's face reacting, and that's what I need for that panel. And sometimes, like an establishing shot, I can show like the full room. And I'll often draw more than I need to in like a reference of like a setting. So I'll include like a 3D. Well, what I tend to do is I start with like a floor plan. So like a top-down view of like where different objects are, like major objects, not everything. So like for if it's a bedroom, like where does the bed go? Where does the door? Where are the windows? Where's like a closet or a wardrobe? And then I'll make like a 3D model. And even if I don't show every angle of that room in the scene, it's really helpful to understand like what everything is in the room. And then as for like objects and clutter and stuff, it really depends on the character. Some characters have like a really messy space or a really cluttered space. For this character in the illustration, I would say keeping it very barren, I guess, like empty, really works if they're a character who like picks up and moves often. But it depends because it's a tool for characterization and world building. Because you may have a character who moves around a lot, but maybe they'll like fill a room with junk and then just leave it. They just grab their suitcase and go. So like they collect a lot, but they don't keep it. And that would say something about like who the character is. It's hard to say. I tend to go for under designing or under cluttering, I guess. I don't know. Sorry, that sounds contradictory for what I said before because I'll design a whole room even if I only use part of it. But I think when you're making a comic, it is hard to you don't want to make things so detailed that it's hard to draw over and over again as you would need to in a comic, but you don't want it so bland that it's like a white room kind of thing. Right, since I didn't want to scrap the window side because it had less props and I wanted to focus on the character. Yeah. Yeah, totally, because it can be framing. Sometimes you do need less in a room to really frame the character. Yeah, and sometimes you'll need to include things like a window for like framing, because sometimes I'll put in a window because I'm like, I really want a part of this scene to have my character like backlit by this like fiery sunset. So I'll put them in front of a window to really frame it and look cool. So yeah, I think there is like utility as well. Like I want this to look visually interesting in the scene, or I want the character to feel really isolated and look for example, this character in your illustration, like there's a window but they're like far away from it. He's like in a dark little corner. It feels very isolated. Yeah, so I think you have the right idea, where I think you're thinking about it in the right way, where you're thinking, I want to focus on the character, so less props. And yeah, and that's a great way to think about it. Like, how would my character decorate this room? What's the purpose of this illustration? Sure, my character would fill it with clutter, but that doesn't work for the vibe I'm going. So yeah, I think you've got all the right. You're asking all the right questions for yourself when you're designing. It is a struggle. I tend to put a lot into my designs and not use a lot of it when I'm drawing, which is something I personally want to correct, where I want my scenes to feel detailed, even though I get lazy when I'm drawing. I don't want to draw it all in. Or I forget because I don't pull up my own references, and that's bad too. It's a struggle. But yeah, I love this illustration. I think it's just that feeling of loneliness, but I get like a Silent Hill vibe. I don't know why. Yeah, I think it's just like it feels isolated. It feels like someone's watching. It's like creepy and sad, you know? Maybe a little cozy. Like if you had some rain coming down outside, this could be cozy. Hold on. Jump into the next song. Don't want words. No words. But yeah, did you have any other questions? Is there anything you were wondering about that I didn't cover? I'm happy to say more. Up, 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 up. I did have trouble with layers for the piece. How so? Was it like adding the lighting? That was trouble? I wasn't sure how much to use and make duplicates to experiment with atmosphere. Gotcha. That can be hard. I find a good way to do that really quickly would to be like do a little rough thumbnail sketch for yourself. And do one where you say focus really on lighting. So like it'll be really scribbly. It won't look anything like your finished piece, but you can do like, well, how would this look if it you know, the character was backlit? Or like, what if there was a light from the ceiling coming in? What if the only light was coming from the window? What if the only light is coming from the screen they're looking at? And you can do some really quick, you know, you can do it digitally. It doesn't have to be like a pencil sketch, but you can just quickly go in with some like grays or some colors that you want to use and just really quickly put it down to really experiment that way. And I think in some cases you do have to really sit with an illustration and experiment with it. But anywhere that you can make it really quick, so even if it's just like a thumbnail version of this image or like a really rough in like you know, maybe it's not this illustration, maybe it's a different layout and illustration where you're just like, I'm just focused on lighting here, or I'm just focused on how to color this character. So maybe you draw in your character, you draw in maybe the bed underneath them and a poster. So like really simple. And then you just play around with some colors to kind of get what you want. Yeah, and if you work just really low fidelity and just do a bunch of them really quickly, like one I was listening to recently that was recommended for like it was for concept design, but like you do 10 and 10, so 10 ideas in 10 minutes. So like within a minute you're kind of figuring out how you want your colors. Obviously you can spend more time with it, but that's just a way to quickly get out ideas. Because yeah, sometimes you just need to visually see it, even if it's like a really small version of it. Another thing to do would to be grab pieces for inspiration. So you can say like, oh, I really like this illustration for like the lighting. Oh, but I wanted to have like an environment like this. And it's just for your own reference. Like it's just for kind of like a mood board. It's not like you're, you know, copy pasting it into your piece. You're just kind of using it as like inspiration reference material. That's really helpful too. Because sometimes I'll have an image in my head, but I don't know how to make it happen. So looking at places where it's already been done can help kind of like, okay, so this is kind of how it's possible. Here's a way I could do it. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay. Awesome. I'm glad I'm not just rambling at you. Cool. But yeah, I really like this illustration. I think you did a great job. Is this one of the characters from Attraction? I'm playing with my earrings. I took them out because these headphones always squish my ears and then I get poked by my earring studs, so I'm just playing with them. My little ADHD brain needs to fiddle. He's one of the side characters. Oh, nice. Okay. Awesome. I was wondering, because you were saying it's like someone peeking through like a different world. And I know there's like that kind of concept within the story. So that's awesome. Cool. Okay. So if that is everything, that is all we have today, folks. I'll quickly say to anyone who's here listening, if you would like to have your stuff critiqued, whether it's writing, whether it's character designs, illustrations, comic scripts, novels, short stories, whatever it is, comic pages, you can sign up for our Patreon. There should be a link down below. And you can get your stuff in. We do this once a month at the end of every month. And then you can pop your stuff in and get it critiqued by me and Bones. And we also have other options. You could do like a really in-depth one-on-one with us. There's another tier for that. And you can read our comics in advance if you join our Patreon. There's lots of perks. But thank you everyone who submitted, everyone who watched. Means a lot. And I hope you all have a good day. It's great chatting with you. I don't know how to end the stream. So y'all have to sit here. Oh no. You'll have to sit here and talk to me now. Okay. I'll figure this out. Goodbye. Love you all. Mwah.